Hey, Austin friends, it's Chris Mosier. This Tuesday, February 17th is a big deal for two reasons. It's the first day of early voting in the 2026 primary, and it's also Fat Tuesday. If you're a sustaining monthly supporter of Progress Texas, you're invited to celebrate that fun happenstance with me on Tuesday evening from 5 to 7, and your first beverage is on me. See your email for the location. And what's that? You say you haven't become a sustaining monthly supporter of Progress Texas yet? Well, let's fix that right now at progresstexas.org/donate and hope to see you on Tuesday.
Oh, God. My mom called and she said, I've been thinking about this. If you don't have a wedding, we can get security.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Progress Texas Happy Hour. I'm Communications Director Chris Mosier. So here at PT, we've begun announcing our endorsements in the 2026 primary, all coming from our board here at Progress Texas. The list so far including State Rep Gina Hinojosa for governor, Congressman Christian Menefee for Congressional District 18 in Houston, State Senator Sarah Eckhart for State Comptroller, retired astronaut Terry Virts for CD9, Tejano star Bobby Polito for CD15, Tarrant County Commissioner Elisa Simmons for County Judge. The last of our current endorsees, with whom I have not yet talked until today, is Marine Corps veteran Kevin Burge, who's running in U.S. House District 24, hoping to displace incumbent Republican and MAGA crusader Beth Van Duyne. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us today, man.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's really a pleasure.
Absolutely. So let's get to it here. Your experience is noteworthy and definitely relevant to the office that you're seeking. But I want to start kind of with the facts on the ground there in CD24, which are exciting in ways that many of us have not really thought about. It may not have occurred to many people who are observing, especially from outside the district. A bunch of that district overlaps with Tarrant County's State Senate District 9, which of course has been very much the topic of enthusiastic conversation by Texas progressives since Taylor Rehmet trounced Republican Lee Wamsgans in that district just days ago to flip that seat blue for the first time in decades. Clearly very, very exciting for Democrats across Texas, especially there in North Texas, and that's putting it mildly. Kevin, tell us what you and your team are taking from the Taylor Rehmet win, kind of from a forecasting and strategic sort of standpoint at this point.
Well, yes, absolutely. First and foremost, big congratulations to Taylor on that win.
Yeah.
And big congratulations, honestly, to the precinct chairs, the county party, the Democratic groups, the volunteers, the donors. That's probably my biggest takeaway here, is that we really saw everybody come together, put all of their effort into this, and they were able to eke out a win, and not even eke out a win. They were able to smash a win with a 30-point swing. Yeah. So absolutely amazing.
It is amazing. And it's, and I like that you went right there, because that's the way we see it for sure, is that it is a perfect example of what happens when everybody rows in the same direction and everybody gets excited and everybody gets active. And that's very, very encouraging to see. So as far as what you guys, your campaign in particular, anything outside of that, desire for organization, are you guys seeing a similar level of everybody pulling in your race so far?
Yeah, it's been tough because we didn't want to step on Taylor's toes.
Sure.
But like you said, about a quarter of his district overlaps with a quarter of our district.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really need to pour in there and kind of fill in the gaps of what we were skipping on during his race. So we know that a lot of the volunteers have worked really hard and tirelessly for the past few months to get Taylor over the finish line here. But we are starting to see that momentum continue on. And people are still really, really excited. And it started even before Taylor's race with the ISD races, and especially in that Keller area that Taylor's district is in and my district is in, with a lot of the ISD, Patriot Mobile, just, crazy amounts of conservative money that were getting thrown in there. People were very turned off by it.
Yeah.
And we started to see that swing towards rational, good leaders and leadership. And so we're going to keep that going. And that's what we're seeing right now is a lot of momentum.
Very, very cool. Well, I can only imagine, observing from all the way down here in Austin, the amount of excitement that must have happened with Democrats, in SD9 coming out of that. What a tremendous accomplishment that must be. And I would hope that, yeah, you've got a point. That's a lot of work. And that's, hopefully everybody's got a little bit of a break in them, but also
Yeah.
just what an exciting, it's fun to win, man. It's something that, the Democrats so often are on the wrong end of that equation. It's totally fun to win. And we really hope that enthusiasm and that drive and that motivation carries forward into what you guys are doing. And of course, Democrats all across Texas for sure. So tell us about the rest of that district. The not only the activists, but also the voters in SD9 themselves have enjoyed this charge of victory for sure. And so we hope that they're ready to do that again for you when they get a chance to vote for you. But at the same time, we've got this other section of CD 24 getting over into Dallas County, Irving, Capel, and places like that. Are there any differences or similarities that you guys are seeing in your work in those non-SD9 parts of your district? How do you compare and contrast with what's happening over west of those other parts?
It's very interesting to me that Dallas and Tarrant are so different, despite being so close together.
Yes, they are.
They're they're odd bedfellows, if you will. But at the same time, the district was very much drawn that way originally because they were pulling a very Democratic heavy Dallas uh, electorate
Mm-hmm.
and pairing them with a very red and affluent Tarrant County electorate. So there's definitely differences there, and there's definitely ways that we need to reach people that are a little bit different in both sections. But it still comes down to, and Taylor's race really hit the nail on the head here, is that there are things that connect all of us as Americans, as North Texans, Dallas County, Tarrant County. It, People care about education. People care about their health care. People care about a good, strong economy and affordability. And these are things that we need to be talking about that will bridge the gap of whatever county you live in. And the Republicans are very much failing here. And
Yes.
they're dragging us into division. They're dragging us into culture wars, and they're hurting our communities at the end of the day. And people are sick of it, despite where in the district you live.
I think a lot of people are awakening to the root causes of the difficulties that they may have been, that may have been harder to explain before they began to realize what's happening at the government level. So I sure hope you're right about that for sure. So let's zero in on you. You're the one out there, putting yourself out there as a candidate. Give us the overview of your military experience and also your experience in cybersecurity. And how those different parts of your professional life you think will be valuable should you end up in the U.S. Congress?
Well, absolutely. So I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17 years old, and my mom had to co-sign
I was going to ask, did you lie
on
about your age on your application or what?
no, but I did have to get parental approval.
Wow.
So signed up, went to basic training, and soon after checking into my unit, I found myself activated and deployed to Iraq. So I went there when I was 19. I turned 20 in Iraq for the
Can I,
first time.
let me
And
let me interrupt
yeah,
you right there and say
yeah,
I have kids that are not a whole lot older than that right now. I can't imagine either of my kids ending up in a war zone at 19. That is something
mm,
else. As a parent, that is something else.
I'm with you. I have a 6-year-old, and now I know how big of a decision it was for my mom to
Sure.
sit there and sign her name on there as well now too,
Yep.
especially with Iraq and Afghanistan wars going on. So
Sure.
um, yeah, at the time I was just, let's do it. And so, and went there 2005 was my first deployment to Iraq. I went to Alta Qadam. Later in 2008, 2009, I went back to Iraq and I was stationed in Fallujah. And then I got out of the Marine Corps, and I got a buddy who I had served with had a job at Defense Intelligence Agency. And so he was saying, hey, DIA is hiring if anybody is willing to move to DC. So I raised my hand. I went up to DC and worked for the Defense Intelligence Agency. And there I deployed again to Afghanistan. I went to Kabul, Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
I took a lot of the intelligence analysts around Kabul, Bagram. I did a little bit. I trained the Italian forces in Herat near the Iranian border. And so I got really good experience in DIA. Took a little break from intelligence, got my master's degree in sustainable development. And then I went back into the intelligence community. I worked with, in, for, and around nearly every three-letter intelligence agency that we have in this country. And there's 17 of them. There's a lot. And I found myself at the end of my government work working at the White House. So I worked in the White House Situation Room during President Biden's term. I was an advisor to the Situation Room for the IT portions of the renovation there in the Situation Room. So I worked a lot with the presidential appointees, very senior level administration officials, and just really professional, hardworking public servants
Right.
across the board. And I really saw what good governance is. So, but a lot of that also, like you mentioned, it was all within cybersecurity, IT security, skiff building, and the IT portions of that work. So, how that's going to translate into Congress.
Almost seems like a silly question, having heard all of that. I mean, you are a seasoned pro, both from your experience as a military man and also working, there in DC. I mean, it's hard to imagine greater qualifications.
Thank you so much. And it really is. Kind of call myself a plug and play candidate. As soon as I get to DC, I know how the government's supposed to operate. I know how budgets are supposed to be appropriated. I know from experience what some of the priorities are for mandatory funding and especially the difference between military funding and intelligence funding. So yeah, very, very much deep level of insight into how good governance is supposed to work.
Okay, so I'm very much remiss in not thanking you for your service at this point. So thank you for your service. So that's a lot of time and a lot of hard work and dedication on behalf of our country, which is highly commendable. I'm interested what you would think. This has to have crossed your mind. All of those places, especially there in the White House in particular, which to so many of us is sacred ground, which is very much being defiled by the people who are doing what they're doing in those same hallways at this point. What's your take as someone who has had those meaningful and important experiences in those facilities, as far as what you imagine might be happening in that same place today under Donald Trump?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of it, and it's my understanding from people who I stay in touch with, is that oftentimes right now the halls are not quite staffed. And so it seems like that I don't know who's running the government right now. Um, there's a lot, the way that the executive branch is set up, especially at that level, is that the president takes the priorities from Congress and then he appoints people to enact those priorities. And so in Biden's term, the CHIPS Act was a really good example of this.
Mm-hmm.
CHIPS Act passed Congress. It applied funding to enhance our computer chip making capabilities for the American people. And so the president picked a very talented person with deep insight into how something like this should be set up. And he appointed him to that position for the American people to oversee this very important initiative. Today, things that are coming over from Congress, is my understanding, that they are not having the same level of care taken to it from the Trump administration. And so even things that are coming over from Congress are not getting executed on, which is why they call it the executive branch.
Mm-hmm.
They're not being enacted for the American people. So from a operational standpoint, this is not good. Just not good.
There's nobody at the wheel.
There's nobody at the wheel.
That's
Now,
wild.
from a facility standpoint, it's extremely troubling that as somebody who did a renovation in a historical, very important, almost sacred space, that we see the total disregard for our history in the actions taken by the Trump administration. The East Wing is the most notable, visible example of that. Having torn down a third of the White House complex basically overnight with no oversight is very troubling.
Yes.
And a question that I have, I spent a lot of time in the East Wing as well. That's where all the tours would start. That's where the decorations were being put up. But on the outside of that building, there was a eagle. There was a presidential seal, and the eagle on that presidential seal was facing towards the arrows. And typically the face points towards the olive branch. But since this was built during World War II, they faced it towards the arrows to symbolize
Wartime.
being at war.
Yeah.
And the question I have, and the point that I'm getting to, is that this was a historical part of, and a very rare historical part of the White House facility. It's something that visitors like to see. It's something that put into context where our country was. It was a very unique symbol that you don't see every day. And as far as I know, it could be in a garbage pile with the rest of our history.
That whole thing is just is maddening, and the only way that I can keep myself from really getting angry about all of that is remembering that we will have a chance to set it right. Should we get the right folks in Congress, of whom you are one for sure. Thank you for that great insight on that situation there, Kevin. On a personal level, you're part of a military family. Your wife is also a commissioned officer in the Texas Army National Guard. You guys have also personal experience with the ups and downs and obstacles that surround immigration as well, your wife being an immigrant from Honduras. Tell us about the personal aspects, from your family life of those experiences and how those inform what you see as the needs that need to be met, for the folks in CD24.
Oh, absolutely. So first and foremost, my wife is a true hero. Absolutely amazing woman. And she came to the country as a child and, struggled along with, a lot of immigrants who are coming here seeking those opportunities, but being met with a very inefficient immigration system, a very confusing and expensive immigration system that does no justice to people who are really just trying to better their lives. And we can see that through my wife's experience in that she came here, she got her degree, she did the right things, she paid her taxes, she went on to sign up for, like you said, the Texas Army National Guard. She's now a commissioned officer, and she's giving back and she's serving her country and the state of Texas and her community. And that is the immigrant story. Yes. From the beginning. And the fact that we are demonizing and dehumanizing people who are trying to come here and make a better life and give back to this country is step one in the problem with our immigration system. Process-wise, there's also a lot of issues. And some of the issues revolve around immigration judges and how they're set up. They're currently in Department of Homeland Security, and I believe they should be moved to the Department of Justice so that they can better serve and impartially judge situations revolving around asylum. And then at the same time, we need to fund these systems appropriately to be able to process people coming into this country for the right reasons. And this doesn't mean that we shouldn't also ensure that we have good border security. And we need to ensure that it's targeted the right way, though. And it needs to be targeted towards human traffickers, drug traffickers, arms traffickers, um, or we all like our agricultural systems and the food that it produces. We need to make sure that invasive species or pathogens that are going to hurt our people, like that's border security.
Sure.
Demonizing humans for trying to make a better life is not part of that situation.
Yeah, it's un-American. So, Kevin, coming up on the end here, let's close with, I think this is probably the biggest softball that I will throw to you this afternoon. Republican Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. She voted against certifying the 2020 election of President Biden. She has supported attacks on the rights of American cities to handle their own immigration affairs, very much paving the way for what we've seen lately in places like Minneapolis and other places with ICE. She's voted to defund Planned Parenthood and has been a complete enemy of reproductive choice for women. She has voted against efforts to protect the environment. She's helped Donald Trump and Elon Musk undermine PBS and NPR and USAID and more of the alphabet soup that you've talked about. Let me stop there and leave you some room to answer this question. Why does Beth Van Duyne need to go?
Well, you probably could have kept that list going a little bit longer, but that is the crux of why she needs to go. The division and the rhetoric is really a big part of why we are where we are today. But she doesn't just say it. She backs up these horrible, destructive decisions with the votes that she casts in Congress. And so we're trying to pay for our bills. We're trying to buy groceries. We're trying, and I'm saying this as somebody going through it as well. We're trying to have good quality health care and buy a house and start a family. And instead, we get pulled into these culture wars of hate that lead to absolute destruction in our communities. And you see that with how they're using ICE today. You see that with the reductions of ACA credits. And you see that in the continued cost increases that Trump's tariffs are enacting on our communities and our businesses. And they are all fully backed, 100% backed by Beth Van Duyne. So it is time to put aside the hate, the destructive votes, and to get to the work of the people.
Awesome. So once again, to retread, we all have so much enjoyed the unexpected great fortunes of Taylor Rehmet in the same part of Texas, up in North Texas in the DFW area. We would love to see similar success and even more fun when Progress Texas endorsee Kevin Burge wins in Congressional District 24. Kevin, it's been great to meet you and great to talk to you, and we'll do it again for sure. And thanks again, and be safe out on the trail.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me. Hopefully I can get down to Austin sometime soon, and I appreciate all the hard work that you guys do.
Absolutely. Our mission here at Progress Texas is to improve and save Texans' lives by acting on our shared, bold, progressive values, and that starts with countering the billionaire and corporate-funded conservative disinformation machine. While we enjoy the support of hundreds of partners, chances are that you, dear listener, haven't joined the team yet. If you're a regular, let's get you on board right now as a sustaining supporter over at progresstexas.org. For Kevin Burge, I'm Chris Mosier. We are out, and we'll catch you again next time.